Farmers are ripping brand new $80,000 balers off their lots and replacing them with machines built before most of their farmhands were born, and they're doing it on purpose. There's a dirty secret the modern ag equipment industry doesn't want you to know. Some of the iron that rolled out of factories in the 1950s, 1960s, and 1970s is still out working, outrunning, and outlasting the GPS-equipped, touchscreen-laden machines sitting on dealer lots right now. These aren't museum pieces. These are working balers, baling thousands of bales a season, season after season, while their superior modern replacements spend weeks in the service bay waiting on a $4,000 proprietary control board that has to be shipped from overseas. Today, we're counting down 10 old hay balers that are still absolutely destroying new machines, and we're going to tell you exactly why. Number 10. New Holland 273 Small Square Baler. Let's start with a baler, so common and so dependable that it became essentially the benchmark for every small square baler ever made after it. The New Holland 273 and its close relatives, the 268, 269, 271, and 276, represented decades of refinement on the original design. New Holland pioneered when it introduced the first successful pickup baler in 1940. By the time the 273 was in full production, New Holland had worked out nearly every flaw a small square baler could have. The 273 runs off a 540 RPM PTO, handles bales from roughly 36 to 40 inches long, and can push out around 100 bales per hour under good conditions. The knotting mechanism is the crown jewel twin knotters based on the original Appleby-type knotter design, refined over generations, that tie consistently and reliably with far less fussing than many modern alternatives. Here's why it destroys modern machines. Simplicity. There are no sensors to fail, no load pins to replace, no electronic controllers to short out. Every adjustment on a 273 is mechanical and intuitive. A mechanically inclined farmer who's never seen one before can diagnose most problems in under an hour using nothing more than a factory service manual and basic hand tools. Parts are everywhere. New Holland produced so many of these balers that the aftermarket parts supply is essentially bottomless. You can buy a fully functional used 273 for $2,000 to $8,000 depending on condition. Compare that to a New Holland BC5060 small square baler that will run you $30,000 to $40,000 and still uses many of the same fundamental mechanical principles. The 273 isn't flashy. It doesn't count bales automatically or send data to your phone, but it bales hay. It keeps baling hay, and it rarely stops baling hay. That's the whole job. Number 9. John Deere 24T Small Square Baler. The John Deere 24T is older than most of the people reading about it, but that doesn't stop it from being one of the most beloved small square balers in agricultural history. Produced from 1958 through 1969, the 24T was designed for the smaller horsepower tractors of its era, requiring as little as 20 PTO horsepower to operate, which makes it an absolute dream for smaller operations running older tractors. What the 24T lacks in sheer output, it's not a speed demon, capable of around 60 to 80 bales per hour in ideal conditions. It more than makes up for in legendary reliability. The knotter system on the 24T was well regarded for its consistency, and the baler's overall mechanical design is simple enough that parts can often be fabricated by a competent welder if OEM components aren't available. The 24T also earns points for its adjustability. Bale density, length, and tension are all mechanically adjustable with physical controls that respond predictably. No software updates required. No dealer visit needed to unlock features. The 24T does what you tell it to do every time. Today, a clean 24T in working condition might sell for $1,500 to $4,000. It pairs beautifully with utility tractors in the 35 to 50 horsepower range, making it the perfect baler for small farms, hobby operations, or anyone who values not spending their afternoon on hold with a tech support line. Number 8. International Harvester 47 and 57 Small Square Balers. International Harvester built its reputation on working-class farm equipment that could take punishment, and the 47 and 57 Balers are perfect examples. The IH-47 was a workhorse of the 1950s, heavy, sturdy, mechanical, and built to standards that favored durability over cost-cutting. The 57 was its successor and refinement, incorporating lessons learned from years of field use. What makes these machines stand out is the sheer over-engineering that was common in the era. IH built these balers heavy. The flywheels are massive, the frames are thick steel, and the gearboxes are designed with generous tolerances that allow for years of use without failure. Many IH-47 and 57 balers have been in continuous operation for 50 or 60 years, with only routine maintenance, new belts, new knot or twine, greased fittings, and occasional shear bolt replacements. The shear bolt system itself deserves mention. On these older IH balers, when the plunger hits something it can't handle, a rock, a clump of wet hay, a foreign object, a shear bolt sacrifices itself to protect the gearbox. On modern machines, the same scenario might mean a damaged auger, a blown sensor, or a cracked casting that requires a dealer visit. Old iron protects itself mechanically, which is both elegant and incredibly practical. Parts availability has thinned out for these compared to new Holland products. But the aftermarket and used parts market remains viable, and many components can be repaired rather than replaced. Number 7. Massey Ferguson 124 and 126 Small Square Baler. Massey Ferguson's small square baler lineup from the 1960s and 70s carries a devoted following among farmers who've run them long enough to trust them completely. The MF 124 and 126 share a heritage with the earlier Massey Harris and Ferguson balers, representing decades of evolution in the same fundamental design. The knotters on Massey Ferguson balers of this era are particularly well regarded, properly set up and maintained, which means keeping them clean, lubricated, and correctly timed. They will tie bale after bale without a second thought. The adjustment procedures are covered thoroughly in manuals that are freely available online, and the community of MF baler enthusiasts is active enough that troubleshooting help is never more than a forum post away. The 124 is a lighter-duty option that runs comfortably on smaller tractors, while the 126 steps up in capacity and output. Neither will match the throughput of a modern commercial square baler. But for farms producing hay for personal use, direct sales, or small commercial operations, the combination of reliability and low operating cost is hard to beat. A restored 124 or 126 in good condition will typically run $2,500 to $6,000 and will likely still be baling hay long after a modern equivalent has been retired due to unavailable parts. Number 6. Vermeer 504 C Round Baler. Shifting gears into the round baler world, the Vermeer 504C represents an era when Vermeer was setting the standard for variable chamber round balers. Vermeer introduced the first commercially successful round baler in 1972, and by the time the 504 series was in production, they had refined the concept into a genuinely excellent machine. The 504C uses a variable chamber design with rubber belts to form the bale. It produces 4x4-foot round bales, the classic utility round bale, and does so with a mechanical simplicity that modern variable chamber round balers have moved away from in favor of electronic monitoring and automatic control systems. What keeps the 504C relevant today is the combination of robust belt life, straightforward net wrap or twine tying mechanisms, and a PTO requirement of around 45 to 65 horsepower. Which puts it within reach of mid-range utility tractors that many farms already own. When something breaks on a 504C, and eventually something always does, the repair is almost always mechanical, the parts are available, and the fix can often be accomplished in the field with tools from the farm shop. Modern round balers in the same size class from major manufacturers can easily run $40,000 to $60,000 new, with proprietary electronic systems that make field repairs nearly impossible without dealer diagnostic tools. The 504C, purchased used for $5,000 to $12,000, puts equivalent bales on the ground without any of that complexity. Number 5. John Deere 336 Small Square Baler. The John Deere 336 is perhaps the most iconic small square baler John Deere ever made, and its production run from the mid-1960s all the way through the 1980s speaks to how right they got it the first time. The 336 improved on the earlier 24T with higher output capability, a more robust knotting system, and better compatibility with the increasingly powerful tractors that were becoming standard on American farms through the 1970s. The 336 can push 100 to 120 bales per hour in good hay, which remains competitive with many entry-level modern small square balers. It runs on 540 RPM PTO and requires 35 to 50 horsepower at the PTO, well within the capability of virtually any utility tractor currently in use. What makes the 336 legendary is the knotter. John Deere knotters of this era are celebrated for their reliability and their relatively forgiving adjustment tolerances. Where some balers require precise, meticulous knotter timing to function properly, the 336 knotter can tolerate a bit of imprecision and still produce clean, consistent knots. For farmers who don't want to spend an afternoon with a timing gauge every spring, that tolerance is a genuine quality of life improvement. Used 336 balers in good running condition typically sell for $4,000 to $10,000. John Deere's parts support for the 336 remains reasonably strong, and an active aftermarket ensures that the machine can be kept running indefinitely by a farmer willing to invest in basic maintenance. Number 4. Case IH 8530 Large Square Baler. Now we move into large square baler territory, and the Case IH 8530 is an absolute monument of working farm engineering, producing 3x3 foot large square bales. The 8530 was designed for commercial hay operations that needed to put up thousands of bales per season, and it was built accordingly. The 8530 is a fully mechanical machine in all the ways that matter. Its density control, knotting system, and pickup mechanisms are all mechanically actuated and adjustable. The gearbox is a tank, overbuilt to a degree that modern cost accountants would never approve, and the result is a machine that can run season after season with minimal mechanical failures. Farmers running 8530s today often report that the machine's simplicity makes it dramatically cheaper to operate than modern large square balers. A new Case IH large square baler today can exceed $100,000. An 8530 in excellent condition might sell for $15,000 to $30,000, and while it doesn't have automatic density sensing or yield mapping, it produces the same large square bales that command the same market price. The 8530 requires around 100 to 130 PTO horsepower, putting it in territory for the larger tractors. But that's true of any large square baler. For commercial operations looking to reduce capital costs and maintenance complexity, the 8530 represents a genuinely compelling alternative to buying new. Number 3. New Holland 1000 Series Stackliner. This one is different from everything else on the list, and different in the most interesting way possible. The New Holland 1000 Series Stackliner, produced in the 1970s, wasn't just a baler. It was a baler accumulator system that could pick up, bale, and automatically stack small square bales onto a following wagon. It was, for its era, genuinely revolutionary labor-saving equipment. The Stackliner used a series of mechanical accumulators to group bales and stack them onto a trailing flat rack wagon, effectively doing in one pass what would otherwise require multiple people catching bales off the wagon. The system was complex by the standards of the day, but it was complex in a purely mechanical way: gears, cams, linkages, and timing, rather than in an electronic way. What makes the Stackliner remarkable today is that it solved the hay labor problem that farmers still struggle with. Getting small square bales off the field and onto a wagon still requires significant manual labor on most operations, unless you have a Stackliner. These machines are rare, mechanical, and require a skilled operator to maintain properly, but farmers who have them and know them report that they're irreplaceable for their specific application. A working Stackliner system in good condition is increasingly rare and commands strong used prices, often $8,000 to $20,000, precisely because nothing modern does exactly what it does for the same capital investment. Number 2. Hesston 580 Round Baler. The Hesston 580 is a fixed-chamber round baler that produces a consistently dense, uniformly sized bale, and it does it with a mechanical reliability that has made it a cult classic among round baler enthusiasts. Hesston, which was absorbed into Agsu's brand portfolio, built the 580 for the demanding conditions of commercial hay production, and the machine reflects that mandate in every component. The fixed chamber design means that every bale the 5580 produces is the same size, 5 feet wide, 5 feet in diameter, regardless of hay conditions. This consistency is actually valued by buyers in certain hay markets where bale uniformity affects stacking efficiency and sale price. Variable chamber balers can produce differently sized bales depending on how aggressively they're fed, which can cause headaches in stacking and transport. The 5580's other major advantage is its drive system. Using a combination of chains, sprockets, and a robust gearbox rather than electronic actuators for core functions, the 5580 keeps its mechanical systems accessible and repairable. Chains stretch and can be replaced. Sprockets wear and can be sourced from aftermarket suppliers. The bale wrap system, available in both twine and net wrap configurations, works off mechanical triggers rather than electronic sensors. PTO requirement is in the 65 to 80 horsepower range, making the 5580 compatible with mid-range tractors. Used prices typically range from $8,000 to $18,000 for well-maintained examples, a fraction of what a new 5-foot round baler from any major manufacturer will cost today. Number 1. New Holland 269 Small Square Baler. With accumulator, the number 1 spot goes to arguably the most complete small-scale hay handling system ever assembled from off-the-shelf components. The New Holland 269 baler paired with a New Holland accumulator or kicker system. The 269 itself is a near-perfect evolution of the New Holland small square baler design. It runs at 540 RPM PTO, produces bales in the 40 to 80 pound range depending on density settings, and can output roughly 90 to 110 bales per hour in quality hay. What elevates the 269 above everything else on this list is the ecosystem around it. New Holland built a comprehensive family of compatible equipment, bale accumulators, kickers, wagons, and stackers, designed to work in sequence with the 269 to move hay from windrow to storage with minimal human handling. When assembled correctly, a 269-based hay system can be operated by a single person with a tractor and a properly set-up wagon train. The 269's knotters are widely considered among the most reliable of any small square baler produced. Mechanically sound, well-documented, and supported by an aftermarket parts supply that shows no signs of drying up, the entire machine can be rebuilt from scratch using available parts, meaning that a 269 purchased today has essentially unlimited service life if the owner is willing to maintain it. Here's the number that really makes the case. A fully restored New Holland 269, in excellent condition, tight, properly timed with new belts and fresh knotters, will cost you $5,000 to $12,000. A comparable new small square baler from any major manufacturer will run $25,000 to $45,000, won't be meaningfully more productive for most operations, and will come with an electronic control system that will require dealer-level diagnostics when it eventually fails. The 269 will outlive the warranty on whatever you're comparing it to. It will outlive the next 3 machines you buy after that, and it will still be tying clean knots decades from now, on a farm where the newest thing in the equipment shed might be the farmer's boots. If you've got one of these old balers sitting in your equipment shed, hold on to it. If you're in the market for a baler, don't overlook what 40 years of field use has proven. And if you're running new iron that keeps letting you down, maybe it's time to do what a lot of smart farmers are already doing. Go find some old iron that actually works.